Last night, Phil's team wearing Phil's old duds.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
I do love them.
Looking sharp, the white on white. There was a time when they wore those a few years ago, and I made a comment about it, and I made a comment about Phil that you didn't like. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. You took a shot at Phil. Yes. So you'll at some point you'll see both me and Phil at the same time, and we'll take our shots back. So don't worry.
That's a sandwich I do not want to be in the middle of.
I wish they could bring back the old helmet color when they do it. That's the only thing missing, because I do love those uniforms, and that old dark navy blue that my dad and Lawrence Taylor and the Bill Parcells era that they wore. I do love it, but nonetheless, that was cool. I'll take that for a consolation prize last night.
Maybe next year, one of the things that bubbled up earlier this calendar year before we got sidetracked by the pandemic, the possibility of the NFL returning to the multiple helmet scenario where you could have throwbacks with different helmets, different colored helmets. The Buccaneers could have their creamsicles. A lot of different teams could do a lot of different things. Oh, by the way, before we get into the meat of last night's game, it's a reminder that today isn't just Phil Simms' birthday. It's Election Day.
Oh.
Get your ass out and vote if you haven't already. 99 million have already voted. I voted a couple weeks ago. It was one of the easiest things I've ever done. And I got online. They've gotten my vote. There's no issues there. So it's too late for early voting. It's Election Day. Please go vote, Chris.
Yep.
Have you voted?
No, I have not. We'll be doing that after this. Going to go back to the house, meet up with the wife, and then we're going to go down to our local, polling center there or whatever, voting center there, and get it done.
All right. Well, last night's game came down to almost the final play. It was the 2-point conversion after a great throw and a great catch from Daniel Jones to Golden Tate that made it 25-23.
Really was.
2-point conversion attempt. The throw to Dion Lewis right at the front of the goal line. Antoine Winfield Jr. making the play. And, look, they threw a flag, and they picked up the flag. Second day in a row we've seen that dynamic in an NFL game. And, look, Chris, it was close, but I think that the flag should have stayed on the ground. I think there was contact. And look, sometimes when you throw the ball behind a guy, that's what happens. See, we've seen underthrown passes draw interference penalties for decades now. That's part of what happens. If you're covering the guy, you got to kind of have your head on a swivel to know where the ball is.
Right.
And if you run into him, if he stops to catch the pass and you run into him, that's still interference.
Yes, you still have blocked or impeded his ability to try to catch the football. So, yeah, I mean, I have no problem with the call if that was the original call. It was a bang-bang play. I think that's where my issue is, the picking up of the flag. I don't like it. I don't. And that big of a moment to tease the New York Football Giants, and in that big of a moment, the referee, who also is thinking, wait, I don't want to throw the flag and affect the game. They don't want to do that. But his eye and his brain in live action told him to throw the flag, and he threw it. And then, yes, when you do slow it down frame by frame and watch the replay, he hit the receiver before the ball hit him. So therefore, that would be pass interference. But if it wasn't called pass interference on the field, Mike, I could live with it. I would have been like, okay, it's a bang bang play. It was really close. But the fact that they did call it in that moment, to me, is wrong. And we know what they're doing. I mean, they're sitting there listening to 345 Park Avenue, and they're trying to cheat.
We don't know that.
Well, I'm kind of over that. We kind of know. Let's stop. Pandora,
but we don't know.
She's out of the box.
We suspect it.
We suspect it. Yes, we do.
Right.
And we're seeing visual evidence of it every week, and almost every game where we huddle around and we talk like this, and yep, it's an important conversation. Did you see the replay yet? Were we right? Were we right? Were we right? Hey, Al, were we right? Nope. Okay. Hey, we're picking up the flag. That to me is very frustrating as a Giant fan, and of course the Giants organization, and that's where I probably have more problem than anything, is the fact that just the original call was a pass interference, and we picked it up, and that's not part of the process right now.
Here's the official explanation from referee Brad Rogers. They don't make the officials available to the media the way that players and coaches are available to the media. They'll do a pool report if it's requested, if there's some sort of controversy. Said Rogers to Tom Rock of Newsday, the side judge, Eugene Hall, had the flag thrown on the play and came to the down judge, Jared Phillips, who was on that side of the goal line. The communication between the side judge and the down judge was that the defender contacted the receiver simultaneously as the ball came in. And in order to have pass interference, it has to be clearly early or hinder the receiver's ability to make the catch. You want to make sure it meets the qualifications for pass interference. And in our communication on the field, the down judge and the side judge communicated about the action and believed it was appropriate to pick that flag up. Well, look, we know what our eyes saw. It wasn't simultaneous. If that's the explanation's wrong.
Yeah.
And I hope to hell, Chris, in this situation, this wasn't the product of communication with the league office, which is possible. It's not permissible, but it's easily done because they've got the real-time pipeline. They've got the thing in the ear just like we have in our ear so people can talk to us, and they can hear these things. They can be told these things. And I've got no problem as a general proposition with that pipeline being used to fix obvious errors. I don't like it if it's being used to break something fix something that isn't broken. That's it. I knew I'd get there.
You got it.
To fix something that isn't broken because they broke something that wasn't broken. They did it 2 days in a row, if Aaron Rodgers' suspicion is correct, that it happened in the Packers-Vikings game where they picked up a flag.
Very similar. Very similar.
Park Avenue.
Right?
Use it if you are avoiding a disaster like the one we saw in the Rams-Saints NFC Championship game, January of 2019. Do it then. Don't do it for something like that because the original call was right.
It was a judgment call. Yes, you're right. It was right. Exactly. The Green Bay game, it was actually exactly the same, Mike. The guy didn't look. The ball hit. Well, I want to get this right. He hit the receiver, and then the ball hit him. Almost very similar to last night. And I don't understand that. I don't get it.
And let me say this. If they are using the pipeline, why in the hell aren't you using it to tell the guys in the Vikings-Packers game and in last night's game, don't pick up the flag, you're fine. Don't pick up the flag. What are you doing? No. And, that probably falls into a gray area. There are many gray areas when you have the ability to talk to these guys in real time, and there are rules about what you can and can't do, but who the hell ever knows if you broke those rules? It's not like there's a transcript of these conversations.
No.
Maybe there should be. But why aren't they saying, don't pick up the flag? You're having why are you huddling? Don't huddle. Keep going. You're fine. Where's the harm in that? You're fine. Don't huddle. You're fine. Keep going. It's interference. Keep going. That's what should have been happening through that pipeline, both on Sunday at Lambeau Field and last night.
But what if it's the opposite? What if it's the opposite? What if he's going, it was bang, bang, let's pick up the flag? And that's to me where I would have an issue because I would just go, wait, this is judgment. I've been watching football my whole life. You have your whole life. We could sit in the room with Tony Dungy, Mike Tirico, and Rodney Harrison, and we could have it could be 3-2 as far as you think it's pass interference, I don't, whatever that is. And to me, the judgment on the field with the eyes that were there in place, they thought it was. And then to second guess it and see it in slow motion and listen to Park Ave that way, and we don't know, like you're saying. But I'm just throwing out there. We don't know.
Well, but when you narrow the explanation down to this notion of simultaneous contact, and we know there's nothing subjective about that. There's no judgment in that because it wasn't simultaneous contact. It wasn't. He hit the receiver before the ball arrived because the ball hit Antoine Winfield Jr. on the arm after he had contacted Dion Lewis. It wasn't simultaneous.
Yeah.
So my point is this. I take a very Machiavellian approach to using that pipeline. I don't care if they're breaking the rules as long as they're getting the calls right. If you're breaking the rules and getting the calls wrong, that's a problem. Because number one, you shouldn't be doing it. And number two, you're doing it to screw things up, not make things better. If it's making things better, if it's getting calls right, I'm all for it. But if it's true that they used it last night and on Sunday to instruct the officials to pick up a flag for pass interference, that's a major problem because they shouldn't be using it, and they're using it to fix something that isn't broken.
That's I think my issue. And listen, I'm all for it too. I actually like it, But when it's that bang bang or that close, let's err to the eyes that were in person that saw it in real time. When it's really egregious, okay, you're in the ear and hey, you're wrong. Let's pick it up. Blah blah blah. It's ones like yesterday in Green Bay where I just go, no, you got to stay out of this. And, you could see here, he's already made contact. There's no way. He's not playing the ball. and the ball hasn't gotten there yet. It's going to hit Antoine Winfield next. So he's already made contact, and then the ball hits his arm. So, of course, that's pass interference. That makes no sense. Now, as Johnny quarterback or Johnny ex-quarterback and, the son of a quarterback and all that, my real freaking issue is what the hell was Daniel Jones doing? He was wide open from the start. Why didn't you throw that out there right away? That's what I don't understand.
He's trying to draw the interference foul.
I mean, I sat there, the play, of course, watched the discussion, but then I rewinded the play like 10 times last night, and I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm ready to fall asleep, but I'm like, I don't get it.
For you.
I know. Well, I'm just saying, I'm sitting there, but I'm like, I don't understand because I'm frustrated. And I don't understand what he was looking at first. At first, he looked like he was going to throw one of those inside slants that was there for the pick route. And that was the difference in the ball not being there right on time. My experience with that type of play there is, you hit that, you get the ball in your hand, and it's all about you just getting leverage out into the flat. He had the leverage from the get-go. The ball should have been there, a half a second before the ball was there already, and we wouldn't be having this discussion. So, yes, they messed up the call, in my opinion, but really ultimately, and I think that's why Daniel Jones looked like a little bit in that press conference, like a deer in the headlights there, where he was kind of like wide open and glassy-eyed. Because I think
he always looks that way.
Well,
I'm sorry, but he always looks that way.
He does a little. It was a little extra, I felt like, last night. And I think it was a little because, like, somebody told him, like, hey, the guy was freaking open. What were you doing? We practiced this play 40 times this week. Well, why did you hesitate? And they left so many opportunities on the field last night. They had a chance to upset the Buccaneers, who were asleep at the wheel and looking down the road for bigger and better things. And the Giants, and really, I'm not even saying the Giants, specifically Daniel Jones in this case. He let them off the hook. He threw 2 interceptions in 2 moments where they had the momentum and the control of the football game. It was 14-6 to start the second half. I mean, they're around midfield. And, again, just no awareness, Mike. This is the biggest issue with the guy who I'm rooting for and I like. It just no awareness in the pocket. And that, like, Carson Wentz problem of, like, the play is over. Just get sacked or throw it away. What are you doing? You're being whipped around in a 360. Why are you trying to throw a 10-yard out route? And then, again, the second interception. So the first interception, the second interception, it's 17-15, Mike. They're in field goal range. They're going to make Tommy and company have to go down and score a touchdown, most likely, to win the football game. And inexcusable. And I know he's still a young quarterback, but at this point of his career still, even though he's young, that crap has got to go. And it's just still too much here to be halfway through year 2 to see first 5-week rookie-type interceptions still going on with Daniel Jones.
I've got a thought on that before we get to it. Let's hear directly from Daniel Jones and his head coach, Joe Judge, after last night's game.
I think the message is to understand when it's not there, to get the ball in my hand and make sure that I'm preventing the big mistakes. So the communication's clear, the coaching's clear, and I've got to do a better job applying it.
I know you have been coaching Daniel and your staff has been coaching Daniel that a sack isn't the worst thing in the world. How does a player learn that if they're told it over and over again, but it doesn't register?
Yeah, you know what? It kind of sounds a little redundant when you put it that way, Pat, but we're just going to keep on coaching it hard. We have to find inventive ways of coaching it and drilling it. And then as the player keeps on working, he'll experience it through play. But, there's a lot of things we have to improve collectively as coaches and as an entire team to help, take him out of some of those situations right there.
Daniel Jones does kind of have the look and demeanor of somebody who's explaining a bad report card to his parents. Right. And he knows this is just it. What can I do? I'm doing the best I can. And we hear the cliches get rattled off all the time. I need to iron out the mistakes. I need to do this. I need to do that. But when you are out there in the fray, if it's not getting any better, look at this. Over his last 16 games, he's fumbled 20 times. He's lost 12. He's got 15 interceptions in 16 games. He's been sacked 51 times. And I know their offensive line is not good, but if you're a good quarterback, you adapt to the fact that you've got a bad offensive line. You make quicker decisions. You get rid of the ball faster. You make chicken salad.
Yeah.
And the problem for Daniel Jones is very simple. you don't get 5 years anymore.
No.
This isn't the early 70s where Terry Bradshaw had multiple chances to figure out how to play quarterback in the NFL before the light bulb finally went on. You will be gone. You will be history. You will be moving on to a team as the backup. The difference between Carson Wentz and Daniel Jones, the Eagles have made the financial investment in Carson Wentz, where at least for now they can't say see you later.
Right.
With Daniel Jones, they're getting close to the point where, especially if they earn one of the top picks in the draft and Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields is there.
Right.
See you later, Daniel Jones.
I mean, I think both quarterbacks here in New York are going to have to fight that off here down the stretch. They are. And you know, to me, it's the new era in football. You know, we've talked about this a lot, to where I'm not so sure. There's no big price to pay for abandoning a quarterback I know you took in the top 10 or top 20, and then you just decide after 3 years or 2 years you've seen enough to go, okay, that he's not the right guy. We're going to move on to the next one. I think you're going to see more and more of that go on in the NFL as we go here. And like you said, teams aren't going to be tied to like, oh, we drafted him in the top 10. We got to try to make this work for 7 years before it's finally justified. No, I don't want it to get to that place with Daniel Jones. I certainly don't. You see he's got talent. I mean, you can see at times where you just go, man, look at that athlete. Whoa, what a pinpoint throw, all of those type of things. But this day and age in the NFL, to sit in the pocket and, you know, go through the reads 1 and 2 and 3, you know, unless you're Tom Brady, it's about 1 to 2, and you got to start moving and getting out. And you got to start, okay, who's around me? You know, what am I going to do here? How am I going to get out of trouble? How am I going to make a play? I mean, that's really life in the NFL this day and age, and you got to be able to move and have that. And Daniel Jones at times just becomes robotic in the pocket. That's his biggest problem, let alone last night. He missed some big throws. I mean, let's be real about it. How many times did we text during the game where I just went, man, Darius Slayton's amazing. I mean, Darius Slayton he should have had 9 receptions for 130 yards last night or something like that. I mean, he ran by everybody, but Jones was off his game last night. And I don't like to say it or ever blame one guy, but he certainly was a big reason of why they lost. And it's unfortunate because it was the right game plan. How are you not excited about Joe Judge and Patrick Graham, the D coordinator, and what they did and how he's managing the game and how tough they're playing, even though they're not talented? I'm excited about that as a Giant fan, at least.
And I think it hurts Jones to be getting close in these primetime games because it makes his flaws more glaring. If they weren't there, they'd be winning these games. He's the difference, frankly, and with all due respect to Daniel Jones, between the Giants losing and the Giants winning. Close games, high-profile games, whether it's at the Cowboys, whether it's primetime at the Eagles, whether it's last night with an opportunity to catch the Buccaneers napping as they're caught between a couple of big wins, beating up on the Packers, blowing out the Raiders, getting ready for the Saints on Sunday Night Football, and this was the opportunity to get them, and they had them. And if Daniel Jones plays just a little bit better, they've got them. Daniel Jones is the one who let the Buccaneers win that game, period. So, Chris, and I saw a quote from Joe Judge after the game. He's already being asked, is Daniel Jones still your quarterback? Hell, I don't even know who the backup is. Who's the backup? Who is the backup?
Actually,
who's number 2? I'd have to
Colt
check.
McCoy. I'm sorry. I blanked out for a second. Colt McCoy's there. I almost choked under the pressure, though.
Boy, you're letting one of your Texans.
I know. I was like, wait, I know this. This is so obvious. How am I messing this up? Yes.
I can't believe Colt McCoy's still getting paychecks in the NFL, but that's the thing. If you are good enough to be on the roster and you never have to go play, then you can keep playing and playing and playing and playing. But, I don't know. Do you yank him at some point for Colt McCoy?
I don't think so. I wouldn't go there yet, and again, I know it's not pretty, certainly, and some of those games, that we just showed on there too. I mean, listen, they're the lesser team on the field. I think, you got to be realistic about that. But yes, to your point, for a guy that was drafted number 6 in the NFL draft, and he does a lot of good things, you're saying is we want to see a few of those plays at the end of the game where you take over and just win the game. That's what you want to see. That's what we all want to see from top 10 quarterbacks. Now, hey, I know he's going to be a meme for the rest of the year because he tripped and fell against Philadelphia. If Evan Ingram catches the ball, he wins the game, and we're not talking about that and having as many chuckles in that game. He put the ball on the money for Evan Ingram to put the game away. They dropped it, so that's not his fault. He's done some good things, but it's his second year. It's not been a great offensive line or weapons around him. It's his second offense he's learning. So I think you got to give him a little bit of a leeway there just because of that. But I do think, yes, because of the Trevor Lawrence aspect and some of these studs quarterbacks that are coming out, that he is going to be evaluated under a microscope here through the last half of the year, and we're going to see where this goes.
Well, and I think that's all the more reason to stick with him through the end of the season.
I would agree.
If he continues to play poorly, then you are in position to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. If he turns it around, then good. We won't be in position to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. And he's starting to show that the clouds are parting, and maybe next year he'll be better. So maybe that's the way to play it, right? Nature takes its course.
Right.
Either we have a new guy next year or Daniel Jones starts to figure it out. And, yeah, because of the rookie wage scale that was put in place in the 2011 collective bargaining agreement, you can dump a quarterback quickly. And I say it all the time. If you're in the upper portion of the draft, if you're in the top 5 and you need a quarterback, go ahead and draft one, because if it doesn't work out, you'll be able to draft another one in a couple of years. Now, it may be a different coach or a different GM, but still, that's the only place you're going to reliably find a franchise quarterback at the top of the draft. Yeah, every once in a while there's going to be a Tom Brady that hangs around, not very often, a Tony Romo that goes undrafted, a Kurt Warner that goes undrafted.
Right.
But for the most part, you're going to get your franchise quarterback at the top of the draft. So if you need one, that's what you do. And if you're the Giants and you're searching for that Eli Manning replacement and it's not Daniel Jones, then maybe it's Trevor Lawrence, maybe it's Justin Fields if Jones doesn't figure it out. Speaking of Brady, let's hear from Bruce Arians and Tom Brady on the Buccaneers' ability to grind out their 6th win of the season last night at MetLife Stadium.
We did not find energy fast enough, and we got hit in the mouth. And credit Joe Judge, he had his team ready. They played their tails off. But we made enough plays to win the game. We never apologized for winning.
How hard is it to grind on a night like this?
It's not hard to grind. I don't think that's I think we should be able to do that. And he's right. We didn't play the way they were capable of playing. And, we're going to have to play a lot better than that. So glad we got the win. Going to have to keep learning and understand what we got to do better and then go execute a lot better.
Tom Brady last night getting 2 touchdown passes, so he's now ahead of Drew Brees on the all-time passing touchdown list by 1 with 561. Brees has 560. They get together on Sunday night. And really, this is going to come down to who plays longer, who gets that extra year.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be ahead at the end of the season, unless they're tied, obviously.
My money's on Tommy.
If Brady plays next year and Drew Brees doesn't, Brady's going to end up with the all-time record, right?
Yeah, I mean, that my money's on Brady anyways. It really is, just because, hey, you watched the game last night. There's a difference in watching Drew Brees and Tom Brady right now. I don't mean to be disrespectful to Drew Brees. I really don't. I would get down on my knees and kiss people's butts to have your career, Drew Brees, okay? But, yes, Tom Brady, from what you see last night, I mean, there's still a lot of really, really damn good play left in him. I mean, just the way he's throwing the ball around the field, I mean, it's just effortless. Perfect spirals, windy night up here in the Northeast, cuts it right through the wind. We didn't see any of those balls like die out in the go routes and things like that with the Daniel Jones when he couldn't get it on target. Not with Tom Brady. Arm still top notch. I mean, good feel in the pocket, and then just hung in there because it wasn't their night. The Giants had a good game plan. The Giants, because of that huge defensive line they have that luxury a little bit of going, hey, you guys handle the run. We're going to let everybody else worry about the pass. And I think ultimately that's what really helped them out in the game last night, is they just did not put a ton of resources into stopping the run. They said, wait, we got over 1,000 pounds in the defensive line here. You guys stop the run, and we're going to worry about Brady and the play-action passes and Mike Evans and all of those things, let alone the Bucs were a little off. You could tell they're not all on the same page yet. Brady, he still had a few moments of, the great one where he's telling Mickens, run. He was like, the hole was right there. Why did you stop before you got to the hole? So he's still teaching them the little nuances of what he wants done as well. But how could you not be impressed with what the guy does and looks like right now? I mean, it's unreal what he's doing.
Oh, it's incredible. He's got 40 pass attempts in 4 of the last 5 games. The arm isn't an issue.
No.
And he got sacked a couple of times last night. It's rare to see him get gobbled up like that. There was a play, though, and I texted you about this. He had the pocket collapsing around him, and he did some kind of a jump step away from it that almost looked like a Madden glitch. And he can still move like that at 43, and he's always had that awareness. He kind of skipped forward in the pocket away from the pressure and made the throw. And as long as his legs allow him to continue to do those things, he'll be able to keep playing. The arm will outlast the legs. The ability for him to get away from that heat and not get hit by guys who literally are now half his age.
Yeah.
For him to avoid taking that kind of a pounding, getting injured, not being able to play, missing a game, not being able to be mobile, and then it gets worse like Peyton Manning when it just looked like he was held together by duct tape in his last year with the Broncos. That's what Tom Brady has to avoid. And you know what? Even at 43, he's avoiding it, it looks pretty damn good. Hey, speaking of things that look good, I loved the Buccaneers uniforms last night. They reminded me very much of the ones you used to wear. I think they are that version, kind of the mini throwback. Did you know? Listen, I need to get a clarification on this, okay? Because that gold C, with the 4 stars under it, means you're a 4-time captain, and I always thought it meant on that team.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it's because multiple-year captains don't change teams. I've never noticed that before. I didn't know it transferred like college credits, Chris.
I think when you win 4 Super Bowl MVPs, they just go, it's gold from now on, all right? You know, you're the GOAT, you get a gold C. I mean, either way. But, yeah, I saw it yesterday, too. I didn't think anything of it. But you're right, it's rare.
Can I ask a question, though?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Where was the bingo? What draws a bingo? Okay, listen. I was set up. Matt Casey put that in the sheets. So that's an entrapment bingo, control room. I object strenuously. Go ahead, Chris.
No, but I mean, Brady, what he's doing, everything there, you can't say enough. And then even again, on a day yesterday where, it wasn't their best football. The other thing, too, is, their defense still making plays there in big situations. They got a little bit of that Pittsburgh feel about them that way. It wasn't their night, but they find a way to win the football game. And, I give them credit for that. They're tough. They're battle-tested. They got a lot of talented football players. They got a little unfortunate early on in the game with the tip ball that got caught by Ronald Jones, and then he fumbled. That kind of gave the Giants a little bit more life and, of course, made the game a little tighter than it might have been. I don't know either way. But I'm not giving up on Tampa. I just think it was a night where they were, a little sleep at the wheel. Like you said, 2 big games, got a big one on the horizon, and it was the Giants, and they expected to kind of steamroll them.
Well, and even though you hear all the time that they don't listen, they don't read the papers, they don't hear anything, there's a fairly significant development with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that becomes official on Wednesday when he shows up for practice.
Oh, baby.
Antonio Brown. And Mike Evans told Lisa Salters after last night's game they're looking forward to it. They think he's going to do great things. He's going to take some double teams off of Mike Evans. And that is going to be a different offense that we see on Sunday night. So they're 6-2. They're looking good. I think they're the best team right now in the NFC, and maybe they end up with the number 1 seed. So congratulations to the Buccaneers, and I can't wait to see the Buccaneers and the Saints Sunday Night Football on NBC.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.